Today's hashtag daily debate question for at MMA Junkie Radio. George St. Pierre is retired now, but let's play revisionist history. What's the one fight you wish you could have seen him in before he hung him up? Hashtag George St. Pierre. Here are your choices, fellas. There is no other, so play by the rules. Conor McGregor, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Anderson Silva, or Tyron Woodley. You can play other if you want, but you got to give me one of these four, and then you can give me your other if you want. Goes, lead things off.
The way I look at it, boys, is this. His legacy as a welterweight is cemented. There's nothing that can hurt it anymore. But when you start to compare him to other fighters, that's when you start to play that pound-for-pound thing, and that's where a Bisping victory helps him out, right? In those regards. But I think what would even help him more is if he fought Khabib, however, for that 165 belt. It would add another belt to his legacy.
Right.
Another weight class.
He'd give somebody their first L.
He'd give somebody their first L. I think that would help him out tremendously. So I'm going to vote Khabib.
How about you, Mike Bond?
I think for me, it's got to be the Anderson Silva fight. And I don't really know if we're talking about, are we talking about present day here or like at any point in his career? Because if it's at any point in his career, I think it's got to be the Anderson fight. I think at GSP's height, that could have been the biggest fight in MMA history when they were both absolutely killing it. I remember when GSP was cage side, when Anderson fought Damian Maia and I believe Abu Dhabi, and that was just a stinker of a fight, and that kind of spoiled it at that point. And we were just so close to getting that fight so many times, and I want to see it so many times in his career. And I would have even been happy seeing it more recently, but it was just never meant to be, it seems. And that's, I think, going to go down as one of the all-time kind of what-if matchups or what could have happened there. And we'll always be talking about what if GSP and Anderson Silva had fought in their prime or later. So I think that's the one fight I really wish could have gone down, because I think it would have been really meaningful to MMA history and meant a lot to a lot of people.
I would say this. I see two stadium fights, McGregor or Silva. Cowboy Stadium, it fills up. No disrespect to Khabib, but he could maybe like a 30,000 seat stadium or something like that. Or unless it was in Russia, who knows? They come strong as well. But believe it or not, I have a better idea. I think Tyron Woodley would have been it, because Tyron has made a run for being called, you know, one of the greatest for sure. No one will disagree with that, I don't think, welterweights ever. But a few more wins, and I think he'll argue that his era may have been tougher, because that's just the way sports go. The more further you go into the sports history, the tougher the teams, the athletes that you come up against. You don't have to necessarily break someone's defense record to say, hey, yeah, I was still better than you. So, but what they could have done that I think would have been perfect was settle that. I think it would have been a good test for GSP. And they could have retired 170 and created 65 and 75.
I like that storyline.
So it would have been perfect to say that was the end of 70 and so-and-so's the greatest. If Tyron beats GSP, we can, I guess GSP loses that title now, or whatever. But yeah, we now start a new history and branch off into 65 and 75. So I think there would have been a nice script. Now, that said, the biggest fight probably would have been obviously Conor McGregor, and that's the division. That's what the UFC would have.
That's the money fight, though.
Right. But
it proves nothing.
But see, Conor wouldn't have really deserved that, because he doesn't have a history much at 70 or at 55 that says you deserve to be one of these. You just happen to be the one that brings in the most bucks, and I have no problem with that. But I think in making sense of things right here, T. Wood would have been the one for me. 3,133 votes came in. Khabib Nurmagomedov was number one, 46%. 26% said Anderson Silva, and then 14 each to McGregor and Woodley, which surprised me because McGregor just seems to lead any poll that we're in. But how about that Khabib? He's becoming pretty popular, right? Everything he touches or anything he says, it's starting to blow up too. Anyway, that's our daily debate. Again, thank you to the readers of the site, the listeners of the show, for your participation.